And we're back. It's been a few weeks off, a lot going on, recovery from the trip to WrestleMania, but we come back with Raw for May 19th. So we open with Logan Paul. Never a good thing if you want to keep my attention anyway. He talks up his title shot coming up this weekend at Saturday night's main event. Very typical Paul promo. He definitely has a pattern to these, which is kind of interesting given that that's really where his strengths were, social media. But oddly enough, Gunther interrupts. Interesting what I think they're doing with Gunther's character. I think it's really, it's keeping in spirit with who it is. They're not really playing him as a face, not really playing him as a heel. He just is. He's just kind of this force. Really good way to kind of reset him after his loss at Mania. Really good for him. I think he prays, typical Gunther style. He kind of praises Logan's business sense and say, "Hey, I could learn a lot from you." However, if you get when you're in this ring, especially if you beat Jay before I have a chance to get it back at him, oh boy, I will take that as a personal insult, and he will destroy him at the Raw in Phoenix in a few weeks. He actually leaves, just kind of backs himself away. Jay Uso attacks to kind of get a little bit of comeuppance. What I really liked here is that as this was kind of going down, as Jay is standing tall over Logan Paul, Gunther's looking at him, and he's very distinctly looking at him like he's earned and gained a lot of respect for Jay after WrestleMania. I think it's really good. I think Gunther plays it so well. Obviously, I think that's where we're eventually getting to. I don't see Logan Paul winning on Saturday. I just think that, we're going to get that rematch with Gunther. Interesting that it is on a Raw, not a pay-per-view or anything like that. So, yeah, we'll see what goes from there. At the backstage, Heyman catches up with Jay. Gives him basically a warning that he basically is sending Braun Breaker after him because he respects him enough to know that for everything to go his way, they're going to have to soften him up, and Braun Breaker's the first step in that plan, so that eventually he will get worn down enough for Seth to take the belt. I mean, it's very clear that's kind of what they've been setting up here. I think they've done a really good job with it. They almost tried to tease this a little bit, I think, with Cody a little bit last year, where, hey, the belt's going to get heavier and it's going to get harder to carry it around. They're really painting a good picture here of, I think, a lot of people smelling blood in the water with Jay, still not really seeing him as a long-term champion, and the walls are closing in on him quick. That's probably going to be a good way to maybe save him a little bit once that title, comes off of him, just because he's going to have to go through the ringer and finally he's going to give out, and he's going to have some noble victories along the way, and I think it's a very good thing for Jay in the long run. All right, next we go right into the tag match with Penta and AJ Styles versus the Judgment Day, specifically Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Carlito at ringside, no Dominic Mysterio. This goes almost 20 minutes, a couple commercial breaks in there. Typical back and forth, really, really early on. Finally, you get the heels powdering to the outside, dual flying dives from the faces. Get the commercial break. Sure enough, we come back, heels in control. Very, very typical anymore. The heels go for Penta's mask at one point as he's playing Ricky Morton. I really think that this is being overdone, playing at the mask, not just with the WWE. I'm seeing it a lot, even in AEW, and you see it almost happening more in some of the Mexican promotions as well. Yes, because of the tradition, it definitely instantly establishes you as a heel, but when it's somebody like freaking Finn Balor, who we already know where his current character stands, he doesn't need that extra little oomph to, solidify his heel status. And I think you save it, because if you see it all the time, then it starts to lose a little bit of its weight, especially when you've got somebody like a Grande Americano, who actually does make sense for him to do this kind of stuff, given who he is and why his motivation for doing what he's doing. It's just gonna get off my soapbox, now, but I just think they're going for the tear the mask off bit a little too much in modern professional wrestling. But Judgment Day with a miscue. Interesting. They continue to throw these little seeds in there. JD McDonough actually ends up splashing Finn Balor at one point. AJ does his whiffed moonsault into the Scorpion Death Drop combo, but this time he does it on the outside of the ring to JD McDonough. Carlito finally kind of makes his presence known there, attacks AJ. Sends us for the to a commercial break. Finally, it was AJ in peril there during the break. Penta gets the hot tag there. Rex House is really looking to stand tall. A Spanish fly from JD to McDonough to stop the momentum. I thought it was a really interesting spot. And we'll get a little bit more on JD here. Gets the tag to Finn. Of course, misses attempt number 1 on the coup de grace. Penta gets the sacrifice. Penta driver is countered. Finn rallies, eats a super kick, though, when he goes for the shotgun drop kick. Everybody gets a turn, ending with a Mexican destroyer from Penta to JD McDonough on the outside of the ring. Good Lord, JD McDonough. But there's enough shenanigans going on. Grande Americano pops up out of the crowd with the loaded mask, headbutt, leading to Finn Balor actually hitting the coup de grace, getting the win. Fun match overall. Shenanigans, yes, for sure. We kind of knew it was coming, given that we're clearly building to something more with Penta and El Grande Americano. I just want to say that JD McDonough doesn't get as much love as he should. He is really good in his role, plays it beautifully. He's good in the ring. He's had a lot of fun matches. I think people are starting to take notice of him. I think the injury, as terrible as it was and how much worse it could have been, I think, people seeing the fact that he's back already from that, and he's starting to get his due. I want to see a little bit of it more, because he really is good at what he does. All right, we cut to the back afterwards. Kathy Kelly's with Io Sky. She's looking forward to seeing, how the Money in the Bank shakes out. She asks her, hey, do you have any advice? You're a winner of the Money in the Bank. You've cashed in successfully. What's going on? Well, Becky shows up, interrupts it, basically says, hey, listen, I've beaten you. I'll beat you again. Says, I've already put one champion down, and she'll take down another eventually. Io doesn't back down. She's, coming off very, very strong here. This will lead into our first Money in the Bank match. The qualifying match for the women. It is Roxanne Perez, Natalya, and Becky Lynch. This gets 15 minutes. I think one or maybe 2 commercial breaks in there. Roxanne officially on Raw, signed earlier that evening. They make the official announcement that Julia has signed with SmackDown, though we did see that last week. So they're split up. They're officially on the main roster. We'll see where it goes from there. I'm wondering, especially after this match, which Roxy wins. Does Julia get into Money in the Bank, since their split wasn't exactly amicable? Do they kind of build off that? What do they do with Julia on SmackDown? It'll be kind of interesting. So, Bex tries to make an alliance with Roxy right off. Of course, it's pure betrayal. Betrays her right away. We get We get Becky and Natalya for a little bit. Rox finally gets involved, then we get a little bit of Natty and Rox in and out of the ring. Eventually, Rox hits a dive on both women out of the ring. We get our commercial. Oddly enough, Roxy is able to fight off the commercial break. She's still in charge and in control of the match when they come back. Lots of interesting running clotheslines into the corner and dodges. Really cute spots here. This match actually was very, very, very good. Given the three involved, shouldn't be surprising. Natalia, incredibly solid in the ring. Becky is Becky. And Roxy is going to be a huge, huge player, I think. The Prodigy moniker is not that far off the mark, really, for her. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing. We get a double sharpshooter attempt from Natalia. We get another one later. Lots of fun spots there. Some scattered Roxy chants, which I thought were interesting. Eventually, we do get that double sharpshooter. Becky escapes and looks ready to win. Lyra Valkyria stops all of that. Comes in, has to actually pull her out a couple of times. Meanwhile, distraction, pop rocks from Roxanne Perez onto Natalia, and she gets the win. Roxanne is excellent in pretty much any situation, but even in gimmick matches like a ladder match, I think she can be really fun in Money in the Bank. I'm curious where they go. I think Money in the Bank on Roxy is an interesting play. I think she's one that really could use it to her advantage. I don't know. Well, obviously we'll see who ends up else in the match. We can get that set up here for a few weeks. But yeah, I know, excellent match. Definitely worth your time. Check it out. We get a recap of, I think it was like 2012, Michael Cole versus John Cena, no holds barred in the main event. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It was really meant to kind of help segue into the fact that obviously Michael Cole is a New Yorker, Pat McAfee is from Indiana, or at least very loyal to Indiana, given he played for the Colts for a while. And so they have a bet because we have the NBA playoffs going on, Pacers versus Knicks. Pacers win, then Michael Cole has to do commentary on a Raw completely in a tank top. If the Knicks win, then McAfee's got to do it all in a suit. So very cute. They kind of bringing that in there. I kind of like this. I think this is definitely, this would not have happened quite this way, I think, under the previous regime. I think this really was just, it was two dudes, we're just going to kind of do it laid back. I think that's the kind of energy they want from McAfee, because I think he comes across really just more as kind of that fan, comes off a lot more casual in a lot of circumstances. So clearly this is what they want. Name dropped Heidenreich in that back. I'm all for remembering your history, but not everything needs to be remembered. Heidenreich specifically, but don't look it up if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about. You trust me. You don't need to take up brain cells with that particular bit of knowledge. It's just not good. We do get Sheamus versus Grayson Waller, part 7,468 of the continuing breakup of Theory and Waller. Sneaky heel stuff for Grayson. He's really actually very good at it. Eventually, though, Sheamus starts kicking his ass. Little distraction by Theory. Didn't appear to be intentional. I think that was obviously the point. Waller gets a little bit of advantage there. Of course, we get the commercial break. We come back from the commercial break, and the crowd is chanting for Austin Theory. I don't dislike Austin Theory. I honestly really feel that they should have taken the character he had when he was a member of The Way and really just run with it. But it's interesting to see where they go. I mean, they've kind of floundered a little bit here in his main roster a little bit. I want to see them do something a little bit more interesting with him. I don't know. We'll see. Clearly, they're going to break him and Waller up. We get to a slap spot in the corner where it is just Sheamus. After a couple of attempts from Grayson to chop Sheamus, not so much chopping, but just slapping the heck out of Waller's chest. And it looked so painful. It looked so rough to be on the receiving end from. And then, Waller tries to build up a little bit more momentum and just runs into one of the stiffest looking knees I think I've seen in a while. Everything Sheamus does in the ring looks so believable. I think that's also what contributes to how good his matches is. He clearly knows the psychology, and he's one of the best at it now. It's really great to kind of watch him do this. And yeah, I mean, everything he does looks like it really hurts. Eventually, Waller going for the 10 beats, which I thought was interesting, about as successful as you would expect, but the look on Sheamus's face after Waller attempts it is just priceless. Theory prevents Waller from just running away, allows Waller to get hit with the 10 beats, eats a brogue kick, pin for Sheamus. Another fun match. Clearly, we're moving towards the breakup of Waller and Theory. I definitely want to add here that I like the team of Waller and Theory. Just letting them interact. Go look at some of the supplemental stuff that the WWE puts out there. Match commentaries, things just with them sitting there, kind of old school, pretty much still in character all the time, and they're actually kind of funny to watch interact. They've never really been able to capitalize on that, I really feel, in ring. So obviously I think the breakup is needed, and we'll see where they go from there. All right, and then we get to our next Money in the Bank qualifying match for the women. Rhea Ripley, a returning Kairi Sane, and Zoe Stark. So let me start by saying that it definitely looks like Zoe Stark got hurt here early on in this match. Her knee is not supposed to bend the way that it did. I know that she's got history with bad knees. I think she blew it out there. They take her to the back. It ends up becoming a one-on-one match from there out between Rhea Ripley and Kairi Sane. All the best to Zoe. That is such unfortunate timing on it too. I really feel for her on this one, because they never truly pulled the trigger on Pure Fusion Collective the way that they should have. Now Shayna's gone, Sonya Deville's gone. She's still there. This was kind of her attempt to really put on a good showing there, and to have an injury happen this way, it's really unfortunate. I wish a speedy recovery for her. Hopefully the injury, is not as bad as it looked. And if it is, I mean, I hope that she can recover from this, because this looked devastating for her. So my heart definitely goes out to her. The match was interesting. Obviously, I think even taking the injury out of it, it was a foregone conclusion who our winner here was. Ripley does win this. I definitely was hoping for a Kairi upset here, but we've kind of had the Rhea Ripley upset loss here in Io taking the title off of her, and keeping it after WrestleMania. I think this was to get Mommy back on the winning track. I don't think she wins Money in the Bank. She doesn't need it. I think we go somewhere else with it. It'll be interesting to watch her in the match now. That she is the alpha, chick in the women's division. Kind of an interesting role here. Kairi is, I think, leaning kind of more into that face persona. We'll see. Obviously, she needs more time. No damage control music. She's got her piratey theme, attire and music back. She's throwing gold coins out to the crowd. Let Kairi be that bubbly, fun, happy-go-lucky Kairi that she was during her NXT title run. I think that's a great choice for her. She's incredibly likable. I'm interested to see if she is going to cross paths with Io Sky at any point here. How are they going to address Judgment Day? How are they going to address Damage Control? We'll see where we get there. We do get a cut to the back with Judgment Day's clubhouse, and Finn brings Roxanne in. Now, he is quick to point out that Roxanne is not being offered official membership within the Judgment Day, but because Liv's gone, Raquel needs some backup. She does come with gifts. She gives Dom a big box of chicken nuggies and a big bag of apples for Carlito. Obviously, we're eventually going to get to Finn leaving the Judgment Day. We'll see where that goes. Liv is probably due back soon. I don't think she's going to be on quite as long for the filming of this movie. Maybe she gets into Money in the Bank. Maybe she doesn't. It would be an interesting first real main roster feud for Roxanne if it ends up being Liv. So that ought to be cool. All right, then we get to our main event of the evening, Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker. Obviously, the ending here is telegraphed. We are going to have interference. It's just how long does Breaker look dominant in this match? Where do they actually go? Back and forth early. Braun takes control through their first commercial break. Hits that 400-mile-an-hour clothesline. Jey manages to kind of battle back, kind of takes control, does all of his family members' moves, to kind of get there. Does try for the dive to the outside. Braun just basically catches him, puts him on the, in front of the announce table, and then does that bulldog from the ring apron onto the announce table spot that he likes to do. It's crazy how agile that man really is. Another commercial, Braun control during that break as well. Taunting Jey's, we kind of come back. We get the heel versus face punch-off spot. Obviously, Jey getting control there, hits a Samoan drop, gets the near fall there. Super kick counters the spear. Finally, Heyman starts getting involved to try to distract. Does lead to a failed attempt to introduce a chair by Braun Breaker. Heyman actually at one point then grabs Jey Uso's leg. Jey tries to kind of go after him. I thought we were going to get the run around the ring spear spot from Breaker, but instead we get Seth Rollins coming out of the crowd and attacking Jey Uso right there. Beatdown is on until save made by Sami Zayn and CM Punk. They brawl through the crowd. Jey kind of tries to stand tall, ambushed yet again by Logan Paul, knocked out to end the show. I really think we're going to get a third member here of Seth's group at Saturday night's main event. Clearly the plan has not gone to Seth's specifications. I would definitely not consider Jey Uso softened up after the match itself. I think Logan Paul has probably had a better impact on that based on how things continue to play out there. Again, I do not see Logan Paul winning here, which makes sense. I'm pretty sure Sami Zayn and CM Punk are either going to lose or win by DQ on Saturday night's main event. I think we'll get a third member. I'm still really shocked that that it's not Jeff Cobb, that he showed up to help out Solo Sikoa. We'll see where that goes. I think the Bloodline thing is about ready to explode over on SmackDown. Solo's faction versus Jacob Fatu. That could be interesting, but who knows? I'll just say it. I'll say it right now. So the new member of Seth's group is going to be Omos. Give him another killing machine. Who knows? But then Raw. Okay, Raw. I would definitely... there lots of fun bits. I thought the in-ring action was pretty good this week overall. That unfortunate injury to Zoe Stark really hurt kind of the latter half of that, of the Raw, of just kind of the in-ring portion of it, just because it didn't look like a great moment there. Again, I hope Zoe's okay. We got Saturday night's main event coming up Saturday night. We have an AEW event earlier that day. So it's going to be a day full of wrestling here coming this week. And then we build on to, after that, Raw and Money in the Bank. So hopefully see some developing storylines come out of that. See you all later.